Welcome to a realm where personal growth meets expansive spirituality and where we're not just scratching the surface. We're diving deep, widening our perspectives, and having a darn good time doing it. This is the Enlightened Podcast, and I am your host, Jen Hamilton. You'll enjoy an infusion of motivation, empowerment, and inspiration that will resonate in every aspect of your life. Expect captivating stories, heartfelt musings, and my own personal experiences. But that's not all. I'm bringing awe-inspiring individuals to the table, so get ready to meet some remarkable souls whose wisdom and stories will leave you spellbound. No topic is off limits here. Brace yourself for raw authenticity, unfiltered vulnerability, and yes, the occasional splash of explicit language. We're delving into the realms of the esoteric, mystical, and the woo-woo, unafraid to explore the extraordinary. So if you are ready to venture beyond the surface, to explore the depths of your soul, and to awaken the magic of life, if your heart says yes, then hit that play button and let the Enlightened Podcast guide you on this remarkable expedition. Hello and welcome to this inspiring episode of the Enlightened Podcast. I am your host, Jen Hamilton, and today's guest is Loren Cellantani. Loren spent a good portion of her life feeling like a victim to her body and emotions. She eventually realized they were all leading her on the way to heal the witch wound inside of her and guide others to do the same. Over a decade of her own healing and coaching, she uncovered how to help others claim their sovereignty by unleashing their energy and reclaiming their power. Now, Loren helps ambitious woo women harness their emotions and bodies to manifest their calling with passion and purpose through her program, The Sovereign Mastermind, and her podcast, Witchy Wellness Radio. I know you're going to get so much out of this episode as I did, so enjoy a nice conscious breath and let's dive in. Welcome to the Enlightened Podcast, Loren. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my goodness, you're so welcome, Jen. I'm so excited to be here with you today and just let this unfold wherever it goes. It's going to be exactly what the listeners need to hear.
Every time.
Yeah.
Loren, what is it that got you up this morning?
What got me up this morning? Well, in all honesty, not different than most days was making brunch. I did a Sunday brunch for for my partner and I. He watches American football, and they're actually playing in UK right now. So we woke up early, and I got to. I love cooking and baking, so that's what got me out of bed literally today. But most days, it's the feeling and the urge, the inspiration of wanting to create and to like give back and to inspire. And I know I've got to put myself first, my own alignment first, connected to source first. If I want to give back or create, it starts with my own connection. So really diving into that first thing. So I'm just supercharged to take on the day.
I love that. I think the biggest question I've got for you right now is what do you cook? What did you cook for brunch?
What did I cut up a lot of fruit, berries, fruits. I cooked him bacon. I don't eat meat, but I cooked bacon, made a dessert. It was like a vegan Snickers no bake bar, but it really just like chocolate cookie peanut butter bar. It did not taste like a Snickers, but it was so good.
You are speaking to my soul. I'm vegan, and so like I'm always looking for new recipes of like how to bake and create amazing things. There's so much out there that you can have, and it can be so healthy and so good for you and good for the environment as well. We could go off on a tangent there. So Loren, you're a manifestation and holistic health coach. Tell us all about this incredible work that you do.
Yeah, so my journey started over a decade ago, healing my own anxiety. I lost a bunch of weight, acne, all of these things that I kind of dealt with, digestive issues up until my early 20s, just things that we all kind of think is normal. So I went the health route, the physical route, the, going vegan, going raw vegan for a period of time, and just, which helped. They all helped so much. And then as my journey continued, I realized I was avoiding doing a lot of the inner work. So about 8 years ago, I was in the middle of a divorce, and I was already kind of into the woo-woo stuff, but I had to ask myself, okay, as much as I would love to point the finger at the other person, I manifested this. I was at this vibration. So what in me created this reality? And if I really truly believe that I create my reality, then what am I going to do from here? So I started diving even deeper into that inner work, the shadow work, taking manifestation to a whole new level, not just about feeling the high vibes, but doing that inner ground root work so that we can truly understand what it means to manifest things and really becoming the ruler of your own reality. And the word that I use over and over again is called sovereign. And owning your own sovereignty. Because we all know, sovereign rulers of antiquity, kings and queens, but taking the concept of if I really do create my reality, well, it's my divine right to rule. It's my divine right to create a life that is aligned with my higher self or my inner being. Like the universe, God, source, your inner being wants the best for you. And it's about that process of unfolding and becoming her along the way. Yes, manifestations will come. Yes, things will dramatically shift. But it's about who you become along the way is why we're doing it. So my focus and my practice, I guess the way that I approach this is a lot through the body, is through the emotions, is through the physical. I don't technically health coach anymore, but that's such a huge part of doing this work too, is like simple things like making sure we drink enough water. We're 70% water and we're electrical beings, and how are we going to amplify our manifestations if we're dehydrated, over caffeinated, stressed out all the time? So it's about really approaching things from a true holistic point of view of the inner work, the body, and the emotions. And I work so much with the emotions because so many of the women that end up coming to see me, myself included, we're taught to be the good girl. We're taught to stuff everything down. And to be able to realize how we feel and allow those emotions to come through our body, it really takes a practice and awareness of, I guess, just practice and just a feeling safe in your body in order to feel it. And then once you understand the root cause, how can we alchemize that into what we do want? So in a nutshell, it's a holistic, somatic kind of manifestation process that really puts you in the driver's seat of being that sovereign ruler, owning and creating your own reality.
I love that. My gosh, you're speaking to my soul. Let's go to the catalyst of this. So you
Yeah.
mentioned that you'd gone through a separation. Tell me, like, did you hit rock bottom? Did you find that you were avoiding parts of yourself or abandoning yourself? What was the catalyst for you that then put you on this trajectory?
I mean, that was one of them. I would love to say, like, people on this journey know it's like not a straight up arrow. It's up and down. I would say for sure that was a huge mirror. Um, that really woke me up to my own emotions and to not be that victim in my life, pointing the finger in any situation, person, job, environment, you name it, is like I would just be on the floor crying, like literally in a puddle. And the epitome of that victim despair energy. And not saying that as a place of judgment, just saying like that was the rock bottom starting point. And I think so many people can relate is once you start to feel these emotions, you're realizing most of your vibration is in that victimhood energy or fear. And those are really, really low vibrations that we get to alchemize and heal and feel this lifetime. 7 generations before us, 7 generations after us. And it's not anything other than we get to do this. It's not like this should or would. It's like we have this opportunity. If you're listening to a podcast like this, I'm sure you are on that same wavelength. But for me, there was just, at the time, huge moments like that divorce, and, realizing the more I was in my power, the less aligned the relationship was with me. But that, after I left it, that wasn't like, boom, I'm healed. I knew it was going to be the start of a journey. And after that, my body during that relationship had mysterious symptoms, health symptoms, a lot of related to my sacral chakra, my root chakra, all these survival emotions that I was starting to unlock through this. So one of the tag phrases I say all the time, which is the mission of my own podcast, is your body and emotions are not in the way, they're leading the way. So anything like a diagnosis, digestive issues, anxiety, migraines, it's not your body attacking you, or autoimmune issues, because I know a lot of healers and sensitive people relate to that. It's guiding you on where to do the inner work. And it's also helping you move that energy out of your body. And for me, that was an alarm to get out of the relationship, because once I left, within 2 weeks, I didn't have any of those physical symptoms anymore that I was dealing with for years. And for me, I was like, I get chills still thinking about it now. But after I left, it was really learning to be gentle with myself, learning to love myself at a deeper level, because it felt like my little body was so stressed. I hadn't really felt too much until that point in my life, and it was like I just popped the top off the bottle. And that was the starting point to really allow myself to go into the deeper work. But that was just one opportunity. There's been multiple times in my life where I've had to come up against things like that, other physical diagnoses, and taking a look at myself. Even if 2 years ago I had a physical diagnosis that I was like, well, shit, something's up here. I'm apparently not getting this message, and it scared me. And I was like, okay, this isn't a death sentence. This is not anything to be ashamed of. Actually, it's helping me see that I have some shame trapped in my body. Let's do the deep dive. This isn't because I'm doing things wrong. It's always an opportunity for us to dive deeper, to heal, to become that next level embodied version of us in this lifetime. And a lot of the times it happens when you bottom out, when those things, that huge moments of contrast pop up, relationships, job, finances, health-wise, like these big life things, because sometimes it takes that much to kind of wake you up. Sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, the relationship was a huge one to really catalyst me to truly owning what was going on.
Yeah, yeah. You and I have such quite similar stories. I went through a separation. It was with my kid's father. We were engaged, and that showed me my rock bottom, and then that was the catalyst for my transformation and awakening and personal evolution. And what I really noticed with working, with so many people, Loren, is that we do get to these rock bottoms, and we do get to these, these diagnoses of, health issues, or, really come up against something that shakes us to our core. Why do you reckon we leave it until we're just fucked before we're like, oh, I think there's something going on here that I need to look at? Where does that come from?
I think we love comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Really, and we know the cheesy saying, comfort comes outside of your comfort zone. And sometimes it's like things that you just don't realize need healed. Like my 2 years ago when I received a diagnosis, I was like, oh, interesting. Okay, now looking back, it makes sense, but I wouldn't have never picked it up on these themes and energies. But now, okay, it's like an exclamation point at the end of that sentence. Okay, I get it. It's underlined. All right. And through that, like, healing process, I ended up manifesting my current partner. not going into that process thinking I'm gonna manifest my dream soulmate partner. No, I did not. I was actually in another relationship at the time, but I told myself when I figured out I had the diagnosis, I looked myself in the mirror and said, I will do anything I need to do to put myself first, even if it's leaving a relationship, moving, whatever it needs to. I just have to follow my inner being, and I trust it. It's gotten me here. I just got to continue to do that. Doesn't matter what I need to let go or shift. Like, I commit to me. And I guess I did move across the country too during that process too. So it was a big level up. So sometimes, yes, it takes us these big moments, but that also means that there's this huge potential, this catalyst, this slingshot of energy. As we alchemize that, more dense energy, it really can help manifest things faster.
Let's talk about manifesting, because it's a buzzword. It's manifesting's been getting around since The Secret came out, 15 years ago, or whatever it was. And so many people have a perception of what manifesting is. And, there's a lot of manifesting coaches and, supportive products and programs you can do to learn how to manifest. Let's talk about what manifesting actually is from your point of view, as a manifesting coach. How do you describe what manifesting is?
I mean, we're always doing it. And to put it as simple as the simple form is like attracts like. So where do we go from there? It's like starting to build the awareness of how we're feeling. What's our vibration in every day? Like, what's our set point? And it doesn't mean that you can't feel the negative emotions. It's actually, I found in my life, in my client's life, when we do have those big negative emotions coming up for us to heal, very quickly on the other side, these random manifestations will just appear that you have just been waiting on for ages and ages, and things just didn't feel like they could work out. It's just allowing the energy to flow up and through you is a huge thing. So like attracts like, but also don't be scared of the negative emotions. That's like, and I wouldn't say negative, so to speak, in a bad way. They are ready for you to heal and to feel, but you don't need to continually repeat them. That is when we get stuck in that cycle. That is when our reality doesn't change. So for me, it's really helping people realize, how are they feeling? Are they present in their bodies? Are they relaxed? And when they are and when they're not, building that body awareness, because some of us don't even realize till the end of the day, like, my neck is so tense, or my chest is really tight. And then start to work with those emotions and doing the inner work to transmute it through meditation, through breath work, through your body, to actually heal it. It doesn't mean that you're not going to ever feel anger again or despair again, but you're hopefully not going to feel as afraid to feel those emotions, to transmute them. And especially as women, learning to work with our cycles, with the moon, to work with that pain body, because PMS gets this huge bad rep right before your period, your luteal cycle, but it's there for us to harness those energies at a deeper level, at that like inner child ego, like shadow work level. So I really, really focus on the emotions and just getting people comfortable and aware enough to feel. And they know what's best for them. They know what feels like relief. They have their own inner beings. And I kind of get out of the way as you start to build that trust and you start to just feel better. And yes, the manifestations come in, but it's not about the in manifestation journey in this. It's really, like I said before, about the person, the woman you become, and you won't care because you're already living your life and you're happy, feeling like those manifestations already happened. And that's when the manifestations will come, because you just embody that vibration. But it's really not about trying. It's really about the being and the feeling. So that's a very quick synopsis of how I look at it. It's just all about the emotions for me, because we're just so stuff a lot down, I think.
We do. And we're so conditioned to fear those, particular emotions. And like you said, they're not negative because they're bad. It's the label that we've put on them, throughout our time, that we've been taught, for example, that anger is bad. You can't be angry. Don't be angry. Stop being angry. I'll give you something to, cry about. Like all of that conditioning that we received in society, in our family systems in those younger years, we don't realize how deeply programmed we are in our subconscious to create a belief system to make something wrong. And when we're wrong, we feel unsafe. It's just our normal, natural human psyche. And so when we start to unpack all of this stuff, and you've probably found this through your own journey, I found it, through coaching so many people as well, is that there's this fear of feeling the things because what might happen, so if someone's listening to this and they're like, oh, I've tried manifesting and it doesn't work. I've got, autoimmune issues, or I've been diagnosed with something, or my body's falling apart and I just feel completely unaligned, but I want to change. Where does someone even start? What would you say is the first step into creating change?
Hmm. First thing that came to mind was learning to trust yourself and trust your body, trust your higher self, your intuition. Because if you take 5 minutes after this, pause this episode, write down just top of your head times that you listened to your gut, or maybe you didn't end up listening to your gut, but you realized after the fact that, okay, that was telling me something, right? Starting to build that trust in yourself. Like somebody can teach you about law of attraction or anything beneficial for you. But if you don't believe in you, if you don't have that foundation of trust in yourself and the universe, then it's not going to work. And being comfortable with being in your body is huge, I think, for empaths too, and people listening. And that's why I start with learning to trust your body, being comfortable being present in your body, building that kind of awareness of maybe even if it's doing a body scan and the only place that feels okay in your body is your armpit. Well, just focus your energy there and be okay with being in your armpit and move from there. Yeah, the trust and the body awareness of just being okay to be present, because that's like the really foundational root of being able to apply anything, I think, in this healing work, especially law of attraction. Because if you don't feel comfortable enough to feel the anger, to feel the sadness, then you won't. Then you won't. And you'll just keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. So really the safety and the trust, I think, is huge, which is easier said than done. I know. But what's helped me is write those things down. Think of every time you trust yourself or listen to your intuition, and you'll be surprised, because you might have a list of 5 things, and then throughout the next day, your brain starts to think about it more and more, and that can really, really help start building that momentum forward.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff, isn't it? And what would you say to someone that might be thinking, okay, good chat, Loren, and I'm not comfortable in my own body? Like if someone is so dissociated from their body because it's an unsafe place to be, or they're experiencing discomfort in their body, or they know that when these emotions come up that they have a somatic experience that they don't know how to process, or they find it uncomfortable. Let's take it back even a step further from there. How do you get into the body, even if it's just the armpit? How do you create that safety so that you can, comfortably drop in, even if it's for 5 minutes?
I mean, there's tons of practices. What's helped me over my journey is yoga. Yoga has been my saving grace for 10 plus years. And there's bajillion kinds of yoga. Finding what, works for you in different periods of your life. Anything that really involves moving your body as like a meditation. That can be lifting weights, that can be going for a walk, that can be jumping on a rebounder. That I love doing that. Dancing in your underwear. Like it for me, it's whatever in that moment feels like the most fun, the most approachable, to really get out of your head and into your body. But I really think sometimes it takes actually physically moving the body. Tools like breath work have helped me a lot too along the way, whether it's more relaxing breath work, alternative nostril, where you inhale through the right side and exhale through the left, inhale through the left and exhale through the right, and you do that until you calm down, or a more energy activating kind of type of breath work too has been maybe not good for this situation, but has been very transformational and working with my own energies and Kundalini awakening. But I think the foundational process of just being comfortable in your body is just what sounds like fun. Like, this is part of trusting and listening to that inner being for you. Like, I have different practices that I teach my clients, like yoga nidra. I'm also a yoga teacher, surprise, as well. But I think this is huge for you to start to become that sovereign being in your own journey. Because what I tell my clients is like, here's what has worked for me. Here are the foundational principles. And then you get to understand this, apply this, and make it your own, because it's never going to be me, the guru, because that's not what I identify whatsoever. I want you to understand at such a deep level that you can not only apply it, but change it so it works even better for you. And so you can just keep transforming and growing and embodying that next best version of you. So I think listening to your body, what sounds fun, or maybe like, I know a lot of people want to do things and learn things like yoga, but just are like, oh, maybe one day, instead of really, taking the next best step and actually signing up for a class or something.
Yeah, yeah. I love all of those things that you suggested. And for me personally, I had a very like disconnected relationship with my body for a very long time, through a lot of my, I guess, earlier stages of life, in my 20s, my connection to my body, like even my connection to exercise, was based on, I have to be skinnier. Like, I was tiny anyway. I have to be skinnier. I have to train with the WBFF pros, and get shredded and, look a certain way. And, what I found is all of that just came back to the external validation that I needed to be, recognized and to experience value to other people. And it was only when I started doing this work, 6 or 7 years ago, that it really started to shift, that, I had this relationship change in my body where I was like, do you know what? I'm going to just start speaking to myself as if I was speaking to a best friend. Because I tried so hard to, love myself and do the mirror work, but I was always pulling myself apart for something. It was never good enough. And then I actually went to Bali on a self-love retreat. And one of the things that came up there was, the way that you speak to yourself, would you speak to your best friend that way? And I was like, well, fuck no. Like, I wouldn't say anything like that to her. And I was like, oh, this is that self-love wanker thing where they're like, are you going to be your own best friend? And so I just put the armor down for a bit, and I went, I'm just going to give it a go, because I'm at rock bottom. I've got nothing to lose here and everything to gain. And it was through that I went, oh, fuck, I get it now. I get it, and then it grew from there. And that in itself has been a journey, because there is so much deep-seated conditioning around, especially for women in the Western culture, like what we have around our bodies and the relationship that we have with our bodies and external validation. And I mean, that's a conversation in itself, isn't it? About what we experience. But at some time in your life, you get to go, I'm just going to put all of this down now, and I'm just going to love myself in whatever capacity I can do that to begin with. And, one of the things that I work with when I'm working with women, especially if they've got a daughter, I get them to imagine that what they're saying to themselves, they're speaking directly to their daughter. And oh my God, it's a tearjerker. And I do the same with myself. I'm like, is this how I would speak to my daughter? No. So why am I speaking to myself or the little girl inside me, my inner child? Why would I be putting that on her? And it shifts so much. And when you decide that you want to change and you decide to come from this place of love, then working with your body and then doing the inner work becomes a devotional practice. And it's so important that women get that, that we have this opportunity in our lifetime, because we're surrounded by social media and movies and video clips, music clips. Like there is so much conditioning to just constantly show us that we're not good enough, or that our bodies are not good enough, or that we should be abandoning ourselves or our cycles and what it means to truly be a feminine woman. There's so much there. And then once we decide that we want a different experience, we have to just, disconnect ourselves from that and go, well, hang on. What do I genuinely want?
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's a whole conversation in itself, like you said. And that's another foundational piece I teach actually in my mastermind, with the self-trust and awareness of your body. Whole lesson on self-love, which that could be the whole lifetime
Yeah.
lesson. That self-love, compassion, and it is so cheesy, right? And when you're going through it too, you're like, really, I'm gonna talk to myself in the mirror right now, like all the things come up. It's like, I'm that person. Like, yeah, I might be into crystals, but I'm talking to myself. Okay, but it's taking that responsibility, because you can't shame yourself into change. You might be able to for a little bit, or you can't hate yourself into growth. Like, unless you can prove me wrong, one, it's not fun. Two, it's not lasting change. You just stay on that hatred or shame, guilt cycle. Like, talking about body shaming and binge eating and eating disorders, like those people are just, stuck in that emotional, mental cycle.
Yeah.
And I think the foundation is just like doing this work, doing the inner work, the shadow work, the being present in your body is self-love. But the commitment and the continual recommitment to this work is that responsibility, that discipline, divine discipline, as I call it, to show up for you. And however that looks like that day, some days it's gonna be more energetic than others. Some days it's just like taking 30 seconds to breathe. Like, that's all you got, and that's okay. But yeah, the self-love, you can learn all the things like law of attraction or how to work with your chakras and energy, but if you aren't approaching things from this foundation of putting yourself first, you probably won't be able to really listen to your intuition, because that's the polar opposite. I'm just having this realization here. Self-love is being guided by you, by that higher self, that inner being. And it's just gonna create a roadblock to really that lasting change, that transformation, the embodiment, the manifestations, everything we're talking about here. And it's more than just a bubble bath. I take baths at least weekly, love them. But it's like sitting my ass down and doing the breath work or journaling. I just got a new journal. It's in the other room. I was gonna pop it up. But like doing the things, and sometimes it's not doing anything is the thing. But it's taking the self-responsibility, I think, really is the another aspect in addition to what you talked about with self-love too.
Yeah. And I think that's what's encompassing to create our frequency. And it's through our frequency that we manifest, what we were speaking about before, it's who you're being. And when you come from that genuine place of self-love and, just that deep honor for self, that's where the manifestations start to come alive. And for me in my personal journey, that's where I was able to discern more deeply between my intuition and my ego, and, really become just this open vessel and this channel, and create things that I always dreamed of, because there was no, like we said, we call them negative emotions, but they're not. They're that lower vibrational energies. But when we can recognize those, welcome those parts of ourselves, love that part of ourselves for experiencing it, but not attaching to it, that's where we become, this higher state frequency, which, as we manifest from that space.
Yep. Totally agree. I don't even have anything to say other than, yes, I'm on that frequency with you too, sister. It's
Yeah.
not avoiding those negative emotions. I think that's like the one thing if people could take away is
Yeah.
feel the feeling. It doesn't mean that you're going to be in it forever. By avoiding it, the more you resist it, the more it will persist.
People
And
go their
yeah,
whole lives avoiding emotions. I mean, when we look at, a drug addiction or alcohol addiction, for example, or any sort of addiction, the addiction is the effect, and the cause is avoiding an emotion or avoiding a feeling, avoid experiencing what's actually going on. And so there's these tools essentially to numb the feeling, and people go their whole lives stuck in active addiction trying to avoid something. Whereas, the invitation is there to just sit and feel the feeling, and remembering, like, constantly having to remind yourself that you are safe. You're safe to feel the feeling, because, we're conditioned to believe that we're not safe to feel those things. And I think it's such a powerful part of this journey that we're on.
oh my gosh. And I just thought of, a free resource that I've created. It's called the Anxious Personality Quiz, and it takes 4 trauma responses.
Mm.
It's an 8-question quiz, really simple. It helps you start to learn how to catch those emotions when you are triggered, when you are stuck in that survival kind of lower vibrational loop of an emotion. There's journaling questions, there's, how this might feel in your body, how to work with it, how to manifest with it. I created it for people to really start to take a look, how the heck am I actually feeling? And so most of us have like a go-to response, like you mentioned addiction. So that's what kind of provoked in me these trauma responses, the fight, the flight, the freeze, the fawn. We tend to have like a go-to one of those. We experience all of them, but the endless scrolling on your phone, being stuck in freeze, or like the obvious fight, like you're very angry and you're like want to go in for the kill, or the flight, the anxious, like can't sit still, want to travel and leave your problems behind kind of energy. So it's like a really, really helpful resource if you are wanting to start to work more with those emotions, but not even sure, like maybe like what you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. So I'm sure it'll be in the show notes, but you can go to anxiousquiz.com, and I have a landing page for the podcast too, and it'll be on there too. But it's really, really helpful for you to start working with those lower vibrational emotions and how to feel them and transmute them, which basically just means feel it and heal it. And then on the
Yeah.
other side, there's always the wisdom, the next step, the higher vibration that you can embody and really truly live who you're supposed to be.
I love that. And yes, we'll definitely link to that in the show notes. Let's normalize our experience here, because we can sit here going, oh, look, we've done the work and we're on the journey and we help the people. Loren, tell me, what is your go-to response? Are you fight, flight, freeze, or fawn?
I mean, traditionally, it was flight.
Yeah.
I worked with anxiety. I used to help people like with anxiety before I claimed the title of manifestation coach. It was an anxiety coach for years. Um, but recently this year, that dark feminine side of me, the fight, oh, she has unleashed. And my partner, he's in the other room and he will attest to it, because I didn't want to be the bitch. I didn't want to claim that part of me, which is interesting because I'm so in touch with the feminine, the dark feminine, but it was like I realized that I was really not claiming it and being like, wow, I can be an angry bitch sometimes just for no reason at all. And I saw, yeah, you got to be real with like, yes, I help people do these things, but like I'm still part of the process and there's always going to be new emotions and new experiences that really are that catalyst. So, yeah, I would say traditionally flight, this past year fight, but I also I have to set some boundaries with my phone. So freeze at times because that, I actually notice myself going to that go-to response sometimes to check email, to get on Instagram, and I'm like, what am I avoiding feeling? Like that, I can ask myself that now. Sometimes I catch it, sometimes I don't, but it's like, oh, okay, there's a big feeling that I don't want to feel. What's going on? So that's me. I thank you for asking that. So Jen, what's your kind of go-to response that you usually have pop up?
My go-to is generally flight, and
Yeah.
this comes from the three core fears of powerlessness, abandonment, and worthlessness that we all have inside. Mine, there's been a lot around abandonment. And so when abandonment shows up for us, generally it's this fear of being left behind or being rejected. So what my insides did basically was say, well, hang on, in order to avoid abandonment, I'll abandon first. So I'll run away from this problem. So if I was in an argument with a partner, I would run, I would leave, and it would be dramatic. But I had mastered the art of manipulation. So I would use words and I would say things that would just like push the knife in and twist it a bit, give them a little bit of something so that I would get a response from them, because to go into that fight mode essentially then activated that flight, because I knew that I would be, if I was to run away and they ran after me, then that would validate that I am worthy. And it played out throughout my whole childhood. I remember fighting with my brother and my sister, and my mom would be like, yep, just fight it out, and she'll intervene if like something breaks or someone gets hurt. And at the end of the day, as children, all we're fighting for is, attention or validation or love or to be seen or to be nurtured. And so because that wasn't present for me, it's like, what do I have to do to be seen? Okay, I have to escalate this. And then I got attention when I ran away. It's like, oh, okay, so this is how you get love. Because what if something had happened to me? Oh my gosh, please tell me you'd miss me. And so that stuck with me for so long. And so reflecting back on previous relationships, before I started doing this work, it's like, oh, well, I'll end it, I'll run off, or, you won't hear from me because, you don't deserve me. And at the end of the day, all I wanted was then for them to race after and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Oh my God. So it was like really powerful manipulation techniques. And when it changed for me, Loren, I was doing my NLP training, and I I was on the second day, and there was a male and female facilitator, and the male facilitator called me out on a few things and I didn't like it. He said that my whole life was a lie and no one was coming to save me. And the fact that it had triggered me so much, I actually left the course, and I was like, oh, someone will come after me, someone will come after me. It was just this repeating pattern. And then the female facilitator, she was actually my boss at the time, she ran after me, and so that validated me that I did the right thing, because it was that repeating pattern. Anyway, I said to her, I'm not coming back. And I'd got to the point, like I was at the point where I was just about ready to end my life. Like it was a very, very dark experience. And then I left the place where we were doing the course, and I got in my car and I was like, fuck, like no one's actually coming after me now. And I went home and I had the most biggest, wildest breakdown, because I realized that I had brought all of this upon myself, and I had to face off with my deepest, darkest shadows. And it wasn't until a few hours later that there was then a knock at my door, which was her and another guy from the course that we were doing. And I just collapsed into their arms and just cried and cried and cried and let it all go. And then when I went back and I, obviously finished the training, and, I spoke with the male facilitator, and he's like, you'll make a good coach because you came back, because you faced off with your stuff, and because I can speak into it now. I don't hold shame around it. I don't hold shame for the fact that I can admit that I was a manipulative bitch at the best of times in relationships, because that's just how I was, and because I've got awareness of it now, I have been able to transmute that in and feel empowered to know, hang on, I have that choice. I can manipulate, or I can run away, or I can fight with someone, but I'm actually choosing not to. I'm going to choose a different experience for myself. And for me, that's part of being awakened. That's going, okay, well, I actually honor that part of myself, because man, we got through some shit, and if we're not admitting it to ourselves, then there's work to do around that. I'm not going to sit here behind a microphone all high and mighty, like, oh, I'm a coach, I've done all the work and it doesn't show up anymore. It still shows up. Like, just because you do the work or just because you teach it doesn't make you exempt from feeling the feelings. In fact, you're probably more sensitive and more heightened to them as well. They're always going to be there. It's just you learn the tools to know what to do with them when they show up.
Amen. And thank you for sharing that and being real with all of us. That's such a beautiful story. And, some days I will say, I think the opposite is like when I'm really going through a big emotion, I'm like, should I be helping people? Because, it's like, I know I'm going to be out of this, but like, man, there's just some big emotions, but that's how big that potential energy is of who you truly are. I've heard Abraham say, if those of you are in a law of attraction, Abraham Hicks is a channeled entity that speaks all about law of attraction. And they talk about, the amount of despair or self-hate that you have. The reason why it feels so uncomfortable is because on the way opposite side of that scale, that's how much love your true self or God or your inner being truly has for you. So really, it's just aligning, being real with those coping mechanisms you talked about, whatever emotions are coming up, owning it, like you just beautifully described, and starting to do that in our work and shift, because those big emotions mean that you're here for big things, that you, the higher you, truly, truly loves you. And it's hard to kind of wrap your human brain around that, how much love, like the divine actually is. You can't put it in words. And I know I've only experienced a little bit of that, like I'm not here to say, oh, I've experienced divine, connection. No, I don't think so. But every time I've had an experience, it's blown my mind. The amount of love and acceptance that I'd felt for everything and every existence itself. And the same I was feeling that love for me. And those of you who've had any heartwarming moments, even watching like a cheesy romantic movie, like that's the divine, like the love and the acceptance and the bliss. And that got a little tangential with the love.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing, like when you truly allow yourself to receive that and to just hand it all over and just rest in it, because through the awakening process and through experiencing that journey to enlightenment, we want to harness life on the way to enlightenment. You get the choice to have faith in something. We can call it God, we can call it the divine, we can call it source, we can call it universe, you can call it whatever the fuck you want, right? but as long as there is something that you know that you can feel around you that is providing you with everything that you need, that's where you're going to experience peace. It could be yourself. It could be the connection to higher self. It doesn't even have to be an external. I know that, growing up with religion, I was always taught it was external to me. And then like rewriting my whole inner programming of like God and the divine, and like undoing so many constructs that I had created and going, hang on a second, where did this belief system come from that it was external to me, or that I owed it something, or that I was constantly in debt, or that I'm a sinner, whatever the fucking story was. And if I just go, well, hang on a second, what if it is, God moving through me? What if it is, what if source is everything and I am just, a speck of that moving through this world? I think, when you find your faith in whatever that looks like, there's also you just kind of get to sit back in it, don't you? You get to just receive and just know that there is a greater purpose working for you. Tell me where you're at with that, Loren.
I mean, I think it goes back to the trust we talked about earlier too, right? The trust and the faith feel very similar. For me, huge religious reprogramming too. And to the point where I was like, all religions are bad. I was very judgmental on my high horse with it. I don't feel that way anymore. Whatever works for you. But it's like claiming your own sovereignty, like we've been talking about, like what you said. And the one Rumi quote that has always stuck with me that illustrates what you just described is, you're not just one drop in the ocean. You're the entire ocean in one drop.
Mm.
And I think that really ties into the self-love journey too, because when we can approach ourselves in life that way, it changes the game. I know for me, when I make things more like a divine inspired ritual rather than like something I have to change or I'm trying to change, like when I make something more sacred, the vibrational energy of that is just totally different. And what my biggest desire is to feel that peace and that shanti in Sanskrit, the like just deep internal bliss and peace, and that connection with source and the divine is that feeling for me.
Yes.
And how do we take that from our meditation mat or yoga or however we get there into our everyday life? And I'm not perfect at it. I'm not at all. But for me, it's really just like, how present am I? Because I think my spiritual practice really is like everything truly exists in the present moment. So if I'm so rushed because I feel behind and like got to do more over masculine, or like really feeling guilty or sad about things in the past, then all my power of my divine nature is just pulled apart. But like when I'm just present and can accept what's going on in the present moment, like that's simple, but very powerful. And for me, that's how I quickly feel peace. And for me, I associate that peace and that calmness with the divine. Yeah, I've done all sorts of practices over the years, right? Kundalini yoga for years was huge in my life, and connecting to that source. Now it's just day by day listening to what I need. Sometimes it's a guided meditation, sometimes it's just nothing. But I think for me, where I'm on that journey is working with my own energy, and Kundalini kind of awakening is that deeper sense of trust and the faith that like I can fully surrender when that energy starts to surge through my body. So there's always another step um through this process of faith and understanding, we're just that drop in the ocean, or the entire ocean in one drop rather. um but yeah, the feeling of peace, that's what keeps coming up for me.
Yeah, it's so funny because I leave myself little notes around my house, and the one on my computer at the moment is inner peace. That's all. Like it's just little reminders. I have them on my fridge. I have a little note on my fridge that says, what does nourishment feel like today? And on my my bathroom mirror, I have one that says, how am I embodying grace today? And the grace is an acronym. So obviously, grace in general, but gratitude, respect, alchemy, celebration, and eros. So how am I embodying all of those parts? And so, I mean, think about how many times, like, we're at our computer, we're at our fridge, we're at the bathroom a lot. So just those little reminders. And I love, like, no one else leaves me love notes because I live on my own and my kids don't write them. So I leave them for myself, and it is a practice, isn't it? It's similar to yoga. It is a practice. It is, getting into this process every morning when you wake up and either saying thank you, or I'm excited for today, or I'm ready to see some miracles, or whatever that is, or just going to bed and reflecting on the day, feeling grateful, whatever it is, it's having a practice that brings you home to yourself, to your trust or your faith or your gratitude, whatever it is. And for me, that's what keeps me in it. It's just that constant reminder. That I've been known to leave messages for myself on my home screen of my phone so that it's constantly there, because when we see it constantly and we have repetition, we believe it. And I mean, that's how we're in this mass hypnosis of society anyway, because of the repetition that we've seen in, the media or in movies, or we've heard it in music. We've literally sung the words of songs. And we build a belief system around what that song is about, and so we can do that in such a nourishing way for our souls. It doesn't have to be detrimental. It can be such a beautiful thing. And to me, that is the manifestation. It's who you be. It's we're a product of our thoughts, and so what we're constantly putting in is what we're going to experience.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I do that too. I'm sitting at my partner's desk. He has all sorts of notes in front of me too.
Tell us some of his notes. What does he say?
Okay, let's see. I believe that we're radio magnets and antennas is one of them. A lot of these are, I write an appreciation note to myself every day. I am my own scientist and also my own guinea pig, I think is the
It's the best.
And I have on my phone one too, is I act as if it's impossible to fail. That is a Dorothea Brand. It's a short book written around the time of Think and Grow Rich. I think it's called Wake Up and Live. It's a really short read. But that's the whole premise. I act as if it's impossible to fail. And then it will
I'm writing
be.
it down.
Yeah. So simple.
I love that.
Yeah. And I will say with Kundalini yoga and mantras, don't necessarily need to know, like, have like a affirmation or like understand it. Sometimes that vibration of that energy, these mantras moving through your body as we speak them, like the words have power, especially these ancient languages that literally move the energy, and we get to embody those codes, even if you don't speak Sanskrit. Like, and that's really helpful for me, having those mantras. But I also find myself, like, in the shower, typically making noises, and that feels just as good as, like, it's impossible, act if it's impossible to fail, or like, I choose to become my sovereign self, or whatever affirmation it is. It's like, for me, that obviously goes back to the body. It's like getting kind of circumventing my mind at times, especially when it's things like that I don't believe at first, the sound, the power of sound, because we're all just vibration. We probably said that word 100 times today. I know I did. And that includes sound.
Yeah, we're all just frequency, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm the same. I have a Marianne Williamson poem on my my shower screen, like on the other side of the water, and I read it every time. And it always means something different to me every time I read it. And it's just that reminder. Like, I have I love leaving notes around everywhere or quotes or something to just, it's just that it's just in your face for all the right reasons, some people get it tattooed on them. So there's ways in which you can anchor those things in. And then once it lands and it's there, you can go on to another one because you've already embodied that version. You don't have to stick with that one over and over again. It is an evolution.
Totally agree. Yeah. I think there's so much power in like what we program ourselves, and that's part of the programming process. Positive programming. People refer to watching the TV as like TV programming. That's like what you said, literally what's happening. So choosing what you want to focus on, and that's law of attraction 101. What you focus on is going to grow. Like attracts like. So bringing this kind of full circle today.
Yeah. And so choose wisely, isn't it? Like it's what do you want to consume? Because whatever you consume is what you be and what you experience. Loren, we will obviously link to everything that you do in the show notes. How do people get in touch with you? What is best? Is that through your website? Tell us about your offerings.
Oh, thank you. So I have a beautiful podcast. If you guys like Jen's podcast, you're going to love mine too. It's called Witchy Wellness Radio, and it's been my baby for almost 6 years now, which is crazy to think about, where our motto is your body and emotions are not in the way, they are leading the way. And that's on all podcast platforms and YouTube as well. You can find me. I'm mostly on Instagram and YouTube at Loren Cellentani, and don't worry, it'll be in the links because try to say it, let alone spell it. I understand. But I love hanging out. I love a good spiritual meme and creating my own kind of like, truth to it. But I think purpose of life is to have fun and to laugh and, not take things so seriously, because where's the fun in that? I think it's a game of life that we get to play, and you might as well have fun playing it. And my main offering is called the Sovereign Mastermind. So that sovereign word comes up again, and I really teach women how to own their own power and rule their life. So literally, like as you're asking me these questions today, I have 3 main modules of teaching, and I'm going, okay, which one is that? And just teaching you, the first one is the self-love and the trust and the feeling present and okay in your body. Second core teaching is really learning to work with your emotions, feel them, transmute them, heal them, and learning to reprogram yourself in a positive way. And the third one, we kind of touched on it, is becoming that vessel of creation and like that woman that you want to become, and really like consciously, what do I want to create, and learning to really connect with your higher self through whatever practices align with you. I teach obviously the foundational ones that work for me to really be that full embodiment of your purpose this lifetime, because so many of the women are drawn to me either have a business or want to start a business, and it's always because I want to give back. And we all understand, especially if you're here, that you have to heal yourself if you want to heal the world. And it's an ongoing process, but the healer needs even more of that love and that growth and that nourishment. And this is a foundational mastermind along with group coaching and a community to really foster that at a really deep level and really do that inner work to upgrade our DNA, because I know that we're here in humanity in this lifetime for a reason. And that's what really gets me out of bed. If I'm being now thinking about it, full picture here, it's like, let's go. Like we chose to be here this time in humanity, and like, well, why are we here? And embodying those, you already have those gifts, and just giving that away to the world and just seeing everything in your reality transform. So thank you so much, Jen, for having me on here. It was so fun talking with you.
Thank you so much, Loren, for your wisdom and just sharing all of your beauty, and just, you absolutely radiating, through the microphone. Thank you so much for all of that. We will link to all of Loren's stuff in the show notes. Loren, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for being on the Enlighten podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I hope you love the Enlightened podcast, and the biggest compliment you can give me is subscribing to this podcast, sharing it, and leaving a rating and review. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. My handle is @JenHamiltonOfficial, and the podcast handle is Enlightened_podcast. You can also find the video version on YouTube on my channel. Just search Enlightened and don't forget to hit subscribe. Have a beautiful day and enjoy living the enlightened journey of life.